Hi, folks. This is my man broadcasting to you from parts unknown. Well, so it did turn out to be that, like the crowd was saying, Bobby, 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 Bobby Kennedy has joined forces with Donald J. Trump. And wow, bubble popped. Kamala and Tim, their little bubbles popped. The biggest night of their careers was Thursday night. Friday comes along and ow, right upside the head. And all the wind is out of their sails. All their fake electric joy is circling the toilet bowl. And there are a lot of people rattled in the old guard, better known as the DS. You all know what that is, deep, and then the other word is state. So, yeah, they're going to be sucking wind. I figured a long time ago, I mentioned when Trump had said he was going to set up a special commission to investigate the spike, the sudden rise, the sudden appearance of many childhood illnesses, that RFK would be involved in that. I'll just stick with calling him Bobby. So, yeah, that came around as no surprise, and I thought would be the end game. But Mr. T threw in a curveball, a special commission to look into, I guess this word is touchy, but I'll use it anyway because that's what we're going to look into: assassinations. And not only Bobby's uncle, but what happened with Mr. T. So at the same time, we hear that 5 Secret Service agents are relieved of duty. Some people in their thumbnails put that they were fired. They were put on administrative leave. So, yeah, moves are being made and people are getting shook up and bubbles are getting popped. Hi, Lone Wolf. How you doing, Diane? Nice to see you. Pappy Two Bears. Sherry, Kim, Wayne, Damon. Hi, Debbie. Haha, Yvonne's made it. Sherry's made it. Everybody's rolling. Hi, Gloria. Nice to see you. How many Debbies we got? Is blowing a big bubble and taking a pin to it, right? Right. And it's wonderful to see. Hi, Sherry. Pow! Pop goes the bubble in their face. And I knew I kept that picture of those two sitting there looking all grim and miserable for a reason. You know, where would we be? Where would we be if videos were being taken down at the drop of a hat, like happened in 2-0 and then 2-0? Remember, northward of 60 channels were taken down on one day in 2-0 and then 2-0. Where would we be if Elon Musk had not purchased X, formerly known as Twitter? Where would we be? In frustration, I would be on a backup channel with probably, if I'm lucky, 20% of my viewers being able to find me, trying to say things, getting taken down. Not to say that that won't happen. Excuse me while I sip my coffee. Ha ha. But we've come a long way, baby. Remember that? Remember that ad? Was it Tarryton cigarettes? I'm not sure. You come a long way, baby. No, that's I'd rather fight than switch. I can't remember. Hi, Ronald. How you doing? So, yeah. Oh, bummer. Scream at Kamala. Is that what you heard, Diana? Oh, bummer. Well, Trump He gave her, I kind of felt bad for that cop that was endorsing Mr. T. He had his speech, going, and you could tell he probably practiced in front of his wife 3 or 4 times before he got up to give his speech. And he just kept going on and on. And I'm not a mind reader, but I can tell you this. I thought to myself, Trump's got to do something. I mean, he was, hey, I'd be nervous. Everybody'd be nervous, and not everybody can deliver lines like Donald J. Trump. And so Trump told him, can you kind of hurry it up a little bit? so he hurried up, took about 4 or 5 pages off his script. I'm like, holy cow, how many pages did he have? So anyway, but overall, it was a wonderful night. Sheriff Joe Arpaio got up waving. Now that we got a good number of people in, I want to ask a question. I missed something, and I didn't get a chance to go rewind it. But at one point in the speech, Trump introduced somebody, I guess somebody running for office that he's not crazy about, I would think. And he said, stand up there, stand up there. Let's see if anybody knows who the hell you are. Did you all catch that? Let me write that down. No, I don't even have a pen. Well, I left my pen in the other room. And I always counsel people, make sure you got a notepad pen, so you don't have to drop everything, go look at something. And if you don't have it down on paper, you're not going to remember it anyway. If your phone gets wet or your battery dies or something, you have not us, of course, but half of society's brain disappears when their phone dies. But anyway, did you all catch that? Where he said, let's see if anybody knows who the hell you are. And he didn't say anything else about that person. Who was that? Was it somebody? Let's see. Oh, I thought I missed somebody. How many? We've got multiple people in. Multiple people with the same first names. I say hi to all Dianes and all Debbies. Okay, let's see. Oh, really, Melinda? I'm reading your comment there. Yeah, we all got a little something going on in our cranium that makes us different from others. I know I do. And I don't know, Melinda, do you hear crickets? I don't know. I hear it's just part of my life, kind of like rain on a tin roof. Some people say, God, that drives me crazy. For me, it's a lullaby. Cows mooing, rain on a tin roof. So how you doing, Prototype? So I don't know who that was. He said, let's see if anybody knows who the hell you are. And then he didn't say, the guy stood up here, a couple of, it wasn't a glorious introduction. I'll put it that way. And RSBN had Eastern Standard Time up, and I believe it happened around 8:20 to 8:25 was when that happened. I'll have to go back and listen to it. So, hi, Angela. How you doing? Well, I hope everything's okay with your dental appointment. And you can always listen. I didn't get many views because I was up late at night. So, I saw a video. And most of you probably already know this, that one of the snipers that got that Crooks fellow was standing on the ground. He was standing on the fairgrounds. And there's a video of him coming to a halt, raising his weapon, no tripod, no spotter, pow, takes a shot and raises his arm. I got him. And they figure that is the officer that struck the gun. Then a couple of seconds later, about 5 seconds later, you hear the final kaboom, the one that gave him the instant haircut and dental extraction. So the reason I'm bringing that up, a couple of reasons. One is that I had discussed in an earlier video that the elevation of the building Crooks was on was in a swale. That's what I thought from the pictures I had seen. But also we're finding out that he was visible from people on the ground. You didn't have to be in an elevated position to see him. This stuff is going to come out after Bobby Kennedy gets into his investigation. But the really disturbing thing about the video that shows that state sniper is that it came from a body cam of an officer who was in a building near Trump's stage. The body cam starts with this officer opening the door, running outside, running with other people. You can hear Trump speaking. Obviously, there's some sort of alarm in their voices and in their actions of the people in the video before the first shot's fired. And if I can get a video grab of it, I'll do it. But trust me, this person who was probably within 100 feet of Trump said to somebody beside him as they're hurrying out towards the direction of the sniper, says to his companion, "Make yourself small. I'm not sure what's going on, but make yourself small." And Trump is still talking and giving his speech damn near arm's length. Arm's length is a term you can use for very close, within, in a situation, within shouting distance. I saw that a couple of days ago and I meant to bring it up, but all the stuff that's going on with these Secret Service agents being put on leave, maybe root through my memory banks. I looked at my notepad. I said, make yourself small. That tells you right there, they knew damn good and well Trump was in danger. You're going to tell your friend to make himself small so you don't get shot, but you leave Trump standing up there like a sitting duck? Then I started thinking, okay, we're getting body cam footage from who? Where are we getting body cam footage from? Do you all remember? Okay, prototype, you can hear crickets. Oh, I'm gonna leave the door open. I like the door open. So, last time I shut the door, that means it's going to cool down. Somebody put in there and said fall was coming, and sure enough, like clockwork, a couple of nights later, it got much cooler. So, where are we getting the body cam footage from? Well, most of the body cam footage is coming from the local police, right? And I was watching the video over and over, and I said, gee, they're in a building behind Trump, behind Trump's stage, and they pop out of there pretty excited and know where they're going. And then I remembered, right off the bat, 2 policemen were fired. Not put on administrative leave, not suspended, none of that stuff. They were fired. I wonder if this body cam was from those two police. And we were told that they had unauthorized entry into the secure area where Trump was, that they weren't even supposed to be working that day, that they pretty much took it upon themselves, and I'll say it in a non-nefarious manner, that they just wanted to be near Trump. They wanted to take selfies with Trump, and or just wanted to be near the event and strut around, not having a real assignment, but being there. That's the and they got fired for that, for being an unauthorized personnel in a secure area. That's what I gather from it, because it was the same day it was announced they were fired. Do you all remember that? So keep that in mind. Just as I said, Trump's proposal to set up a commission about investigating the cause of unusual illnesses in our young, that's been going on since the 70s. Keep that kind of stuff in your mind, because it comes up later on. Here, it's cropped up again. Robert F. Kennedy is going to go after this. He's already well versed in the pharmaceutical, food supply, medical practices that are inane. So I look for him to be in a special position, not necessarily a cabinet position. And I think he's going to work with the Surgeon General, among other agencies. And I believe Surgeon General will probably be Dr. Ben Carson. He was director of HUD. Okay. I think he was underutilized, but Trump had to get him in where he could, because there's a lot of entrenched people already in line, and 90% of them corrupted and working against Trump back in 2016. But now that we've got that, we've cleaned house. And like Trump has said many times, I know who the good ones are. I know who the bad ones are. I got them pegged. It's going to be a whole nother story. So, hi, MS. How you doing? Hi, Alan. How you doing? It was a sheriff from the border. Oh, the one who was giving that big, long speech. I thought it was with a police association. Hi, Quilt. Ann, nice to see you. Yeah, Bobby Kennedy's going to be a great asset. Yeah, Angela says, please smash that like button. I haven't said anything in almost 20 minutes. I should say it closer to the beginning of the video. I keep forgetting. But anyway, we had a real good broadcast last night. If you didn't get a chance to see it, I encourage you to go back in my library, my channel collection, and give it a listen. Ivan, how you doing? Well, I tell you, the light is shining out, Julie. The C.I.A. and break that up a little bit, Julie, so I don't get in trouble. Because when they see those three letters together, hi, Gary, how you doing? They kind of flag me. Yeah. So put like C and then spell word I-E-Y-E, and then A, and then they can't recognize that in the rhythm. Oh, yeah. He recognized Sheriff Arpaio. I think a lot of the guests that he calls on is to rattle some cages, because he was talking about how nasty Barack was and how nasty. That's what I should have put on my thumbnail, nasty people. How nasty Kamala was. And I was looking through some of the videos from CBS, MSNBC, PBS, the usual suspects. I got to cut my light outside. I want to cut this one off because moths are starting to come in. There we go. But anyway, the usual suspects were saying what a uplifting and electric speech Kamala gave. And I would go through the comments, and I'm telling you, it was overwhelmingly mocking the stations I just mentioned. Not in a nasty way, but as a matter of fact way. Some people say, well, I thought it was a rude speech. She hadn't done anything by now. She'll never do anything. I didn't hear solutions. I just heard insults. Stuff like that. But I get away from the usual suspects, the deep state media, and just about every creator that I saw. I don't know if it's because of those people I watch, or we're saying what a vapid, rude, childish speech that was, appealing to base emotions with anecdotes. I mean, what'd your mother tell you? To say your prayers and brush your teeth and stuff? I mean, nothing about policy. That's right. Sound like a mediocre. There you go, Tuco, CIA. That's okay, Julie. Don't you worry, honey. We live and learn. We live and learn. But hey, that's the nature of the beast that we're dealing with. So Trump went through his regular stump speech after he rattled their cages with the commission to investigate assassinations, past assassinations, and the most recent attempt. So they're into a little bit over 2 months before votes are in. The polling was almost immediate. Wait a minute. What's going on? What's going on with my mic? How you doing, Tracy? But anyway, I saw one video where it projected a +7 for Trump. +7. On top of what I consider to be his lead from before Joe dropped out, of a minimum of 5 points. With all the made-up polls, the push polls, the oversampling of Democrats, the usual crap they pull. Remember, Reagan against Carter. 6 days before the election, they said Reagan was losing by 6 points. He ended up winning by 9. That's how long they've been doing these phony polls. He won. That was a 15-point difference in their projections. Now they're saying it's virtually tied, and I'm saying there's at least a 5-point uh, for Trump is probably more than that. Now it could be over 20% lead for Trump. But I'm saying right now it's probably 12 point. Conservatively. And there isn't any battleground states in play. Not anymore. Not after tonight. And if you'll notice, Trump is back on his evening rallies as he stuck to the daytime during the convention, which I think was effective and a good strategy. Yeah, that's right. It's not even close. And Hillary was beating Mr. T, but Mr. T beat Hillary. They're all full of it. So as far as I'm concerned, with this Secret Service people being put on administrative leave, when do birds sing? People are going to start being very frank and open about what was going on. Trump brought up the fact that they've been denying him, his campaign, sufficient people. But at the same time, he praised the people in the field. It was gutsy. I mean, who could stand up knowing that a bullet could rip through their body? How many people would still do it to protect another person? I would have done it in a flash for Trump, but I can't think of too many other people I would have done it for because I lived my life. I mean, hopefully I have more to go. But I was very, very fortunate. A lot of us are very, very fortunate, even as we run into problems later in life. Who doesn't? So anyway, what are they going to do come Monday, Tuesday? After this weekend is going to be inundated with possibilities. People that never thought about supporting Trump are going to be very interested in the Kennedy situation. Kennedy was plump and plain. CNN went away from his broadcast, his announcement, and started babbling while Kennedy was talking. When he started getting down to brass tacks, saying truths, talking about fraud, talking about election interference, talking about corrupt judges. They interrupted all of that. But people are nosy, and people like celebrity. They like to know what's going on. And when they see the coalition Trump is forming, there's something there for everybody. Something that's going to pique people's interests, whether it's Elon Musk in a cost-cutting guru czar, or whatever you want to call him, position, and RFK investigating the murder of his father and his uncle, along with other things. Wow. Who would not support that? Even people that wrinkle their nose at Trump, the nose wrinklers, they couldn't even tell you why their nose is wrinkling when you mention Trump's name, are going to say, I want to see Bobby Kennedy finding out who killed his uncle and his father. That's powerful. And what's even more powerful than that, RFK brought up a theme that we've been hearing, reading, talking about for 8 years. That children will unite us. Children will unite us. Hi, Em. How you doing? He's brought up, along with Trump again, brought up the staggering number of children that are unaccounted for. Like I discussed in a couple of broadcasts ago, I said, not only where's the 819,000 jobs, where's the 200 plus, almost 300 plus thousand, over 300,000 children? Trump brought that up again. And he brought it up again that unfortunately many of them are not alive. A lot of people are going to say, how can that be? We understand kids being put into walking streets or get involved in drugs or things like that, but for them to actually not be alive anymore, how could that be? Trump is exaggerating. I think we might be knocking on the door of discussing with the public at large the notion of rituals and what this cabal is all about. Just like how Russian news was describing the van outside the DNC as a ritualistic worshiping of, well, I'll just go ahead and say Satan himself. And that the red stuff, the BLOOD, was offered up as a guarantee of victory to who they worship. Think I'm crazy? Moloch, Baal, whatever you want to call the worship, that was never totally wiped out. It's been hidden, kept secret. So we're starting to get into easing the general public into understanding what is going on with these children. Kennedy said, ultimately, the only thing that will save our country and our children is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other. It's human nature that this has to be teaspoon fed to what we traditionally call newbies. Because it's too much all at once. It will either be dismissed out of hand, never to take seriously again, or just denied outright. But if you bring it in there, teaspoon by teaspoon, little red pill by little red pill, eventually people will catch on. So with Trump discussing over 250,000 young people losing their lives, to what? People will be wondering. Pile on top of that, Kennedy discussing how big money, big pharma, okay, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, these massive food companies like Tyson and Kraft, that have a stranglehold on everything. They're putting stuff in our bodies and the bodies of our children that are creating, I said in the past, 12-year-olds in need of a liver transplant because of fatty liver. Unheard of. Kennedy knocked that down at 8 years old. Children pre-diabetic or diabetic. I got something in my hand. I might do a little video on it. I'm going to tap it on my phone. Can y'all hear it? Can y'all hear that tapping noise? Let me know if you hear that tapping noise. And I'll tell you what it is, if you hear it. Did y'all hear that? Here, I'll tap it on the desk next to me. I got a little table next to me. See if you can hear it. Can you hear that? Ann says yes. Well, I'll tell you what this is. I got a piece of cheese. You know the kind that you buy and they're individually wrapped and they have a little flap on, a clear plastic, and you peel a little flap and pull the plastic on around, and you have a piece of, I guess, cheese in your hand, right? You all know I'm a bachelor also, right? I put some bread in the oven with some butter on it and cheese to toast me some grilled cheeses. Something happened and I forgot about it. The oven was off. I came back several hours later, forgot all about it. A couple of days later, I opened the oven up and there's this piece of bread in there with the cheese on top, cold as a brick. Stale bread, cold as a brick. I said, oh man. Well, I guess Sadie gets a little treat. Whoops, I did. I'm saying keywords and she'll be around here. But anyway, I reach in there and this piece of cheese, so-called cheese, comes off in my hand, not stuck to the bread, as hard as a rock. Now, listen to me now. This might be boring, you all. Hi, Outlandish. Hi, a Google account. And I saw somebody else new in here. I didn't get Raven's Wings. How you doing? Well, I thought I saw somebody new. Oh, Borinkin Project. How you doing? Well, anyway, let me keep going. So I said, this is bizarre. This is hard as a rock. And I went to break it in half. I said, no, I'm going to keep it one piece. And I threw it up in a cabinet where I have a bunch of spices and stuff. Wasn't greasy. It didn't have anything. It was like a piece of, like Gary said, a piece of plastic. And being as I'm a bachelor and I don't use a lot of crazy spices, I forgot about it. This was 6 months ago. Well, don't you know, a couple of weeks ago, I was looking for something to do a pork rub. And there it was, sitting inside that cabinet. So I pulled it out and looked at it again. I said, man, I forgot about this. And a friend of mine pulled up and we were shooting a breeze and I had it in my hand. I said, I want to show you something. You aren't going to believe this. I said, take a look at this thing. I said, try to break it in half. He pulled it hard, pop, snapped it in half. I said, that's a piece of cheese. He said, God, that's something. I threw it in the grass. Well, we had rainstorms. We had plus 90 degrees in the sun. I forgot all about it. I'm telling you the truth. 2 weeks later, I had taken the hood off my tractor and set it out in the grass. And that's where I threw it. It bounced off the metal on, on the tractor hood and fell in the grass. So I went over there and I said, oh, there's that piece of cheese again. So I picked it up and it was just as hard as when I threw it out 2 weeks ago. Rainstorms, boiling hot sun. So I picked it up and I said, well, I'll take this back in the house. I threw it on the porch steps and laid on the porch steps. And I walked by it. I had something in my arms. I said, I'll come back and get that. Well, it sat out there for another 3 or 4 days in a blazing sun on a dark piece of wood on the porch step. I said, that thing's going to be finished. Now, of course, I'm thinking to myself, what in hell could somebody sell to me as being food that the cat won't eat, bugs won't eat, flies won't get on, mold won't grow on, rain can't touch it, scorching sun can't touch it, and here I got 2 pieces of cheese, the broken in half piece. I'm smacking them together right here. This is supposed to go in my belly. And over the years, how many times have we all eaten that crap? It did not grow mold or deteriorate, a Google account. It's sitting right here, a bright orange. And I might do a little short video on it and put it on my next picture show. Sure looks like plastic. That's criminal, passing that off as food. How outlandish, how you doing? Holy cow, I got a notice here. Oh my God. Gary, you're too generous. Thank you, Gary, for going buy me a coffee and helping me out. I'll definitely buy real cheese. I want to thank Gary for helping sponsor tonight's program or this month's program. And everybody else that's helped out Gary and Bev and Mike and Lone Wolf this month. Aaron, Miss Mindersue, Tennessee, Love to Garden, hilarious too. And Angela came in early in the month and helped out. I appreciate all of you helping out this month. Miss Mindersue gave Gary some boom booms. So that's wonderful. So I appreciate it. A Google account said I put chicken nuggets on my roof for critters. Wanted picture of a huge vulture. They look perfect for months. Nothing touched them. You ought to do a YouTube documentary on that. That's amazing. Because something worth eating is going to get eaten. I got a blue jay out here. A blue jay. That's about half big, bigger than half the size of a Sadie. They get big. Crows get big. Blue jays get big, and they're you throw anything out there, chicken bones, bread, anything. Crows and blue jays will come tear it up. They didn't touch this stuff. So I got one slice still in the refrigerator. I wish I had still the wrapper saying what brand it was, but I guarantee you that there are other ones just like it. I can go out and buy a pack right now. That's right, MS. I remember that snow. I remember the snow that wasn't melting, turning black. The ice cream people are doing videos on, so-called ice cream sandwiches that will not melt. Thank you, Gary. Love you too, buddy. Appreciate it. Wouldn't they have to classify it as a plastic? If it smells like poop, looks like poop, tastes like poop, it must be poop. Remember that? I haven't bought margarine. The only thing I have bought is real butter without salt. Salt tastes better on food than in food. Yeah, you would figure something would eat it, Ian, but nothing ate it. I got possums out here that they eat anything. So anyway, I just thought I'd give you guys a little preview. I might do a video on that thing. The other thing RFK said, a lot of people are going to be listening. How many millions do you think tuned in to listen to Trump tonight because of RFK that have never heard of Trump rally? Even if they watch MSNBC all the time, even if they watch CNN all the time, they're going to go, oh, there's a rally. There's supposed to be a big announcement, RFK. Let's check it out. RFK said, who chose Kamala? It wasn't voters. She went in 4 weeks from being the worst liability for the Democrat Party to the second coming of Christ without giving one interview, without showing up for a debate, without a single policy. And anyone thinks it isn't without a single policy that anyone thinks isn't ridiculous. It's not a democracy. It's a coronation. I put that in my thumbnail the other night, remember? I said Kamala coronation. Hi, Larry. How you doing? Sandy. Marie. Yeah, I use Himalayan salt sometimes. Mostly just sea salt. Sometimes I use iodine salt because we need iodine. If I don't have seafood to eat, I'll use a little iodized salt. But mostly just sea salt. So I'm thinking, how are they going to counter this? This is a major political bop upside the head. I mean, there hadn't been this big of an event to shake up a presidential race that I can remember. They always talk about Reagan's October surprise of the hostages being released. Things like that. But this is a unifying thing, and that's what they fear the most, is Americans becoming unified. They fear the most the disappearance of racialized politics. They're going into class warfare now. There is a story out about Merrick Garland that popped up in my news feed. I got a picture of Klinger. Klinger of all people. Here we go. Americans should not have to pay more in rent because a company has found a new way to scheme with landlords to break the law. Attorney General Merrick Garland. Okay, so the racial divide's falling apart. The nose wrinkling of Trump is falling apart. Let's go into class warfare. The big news is Justice Department files antitrust lawsuit against real estate software company, alleging collusion with landlords that hiked prices for renters across the U.S. Some of you who've been with me for a long time know I was a landlord for 30-some years. And that's back when, before they put all this crap on people, and my rents were dirt cheap. And if nobody caused me problems, I didn't hear anything out of them, and they paid their rent, they could live there. I had people living in one of my apartments since the Truman administration. Of course, I wasn't around as a landlord then. But she ended up passing away in the 90s, but she lived there for over 50 years. Lived there 20 years while I was a landlord. I didn't raise a penny, rent one penny. But those days are gone. They put so many regulations on you and things that you can't afford to do that anymore. But they call it antitrust now. The Justice Department and several state attorneys general filed an antitrust suit against RealPage. I never heard of it. Alleging that the real estate software company engaged in a collusion scheme with landlords that resulted in higher prices for renters across the country. I have never heard of that. While the company has faced civil lawsuits before this at the state level, officials said the suit appears to be the first federal one of its kind involving such advanced algorithmic collusion scheme. Algorithmic collusion scheme. Maybe that might open the doors up for other collusion schemes where the algorithm damages people, like enforces censorship. I don't know. Oh, yeah, salmon. That's great. Yeah, I've got several cans of salmon, and I love it. I'll make a salmon dip and use pork rinds. If anybody doesn't want carbs, pork rinds are great to dip like chips. Pork rinds and salmon dip. That's right, Roland. Yeah, Canada's got their fill of liberals. It's going to be hard for them to steal it, but they're going to give it every shot in the book. It was obvious last time a Google account, but too big to rig, right, Diane? It's going to be very difficult for them to do it. So, but they got to do something. So the discussion in the chats are that they're not going to be able to do it. It's too big to rig. It'll be too obvious. Well, I saw a video tonight about, let me find it, a strain. Let's see if I found the town. Cinnamon Shogun had it up, where a town put up a 6 p.m. curfew here in the U.S. to protect people from a mosquito-borne virus, right? I shouldn't have said that word. I should have spelled it. But anyway, a triple E strain. Let me find this. Let me see if I can find what a lockdown. curfew enforced in Massachusetts town after outbreak of EEE virus spread by mosquitoes. So they put a 6 p.m. curfew on people in this Massachusetts town under the guise of protecting people's health. Stay home, stay safe. And they could fine you, they could jail you if you don't have yourself home by 6 p.m. because they claim that multiple people got this thing we've never heard of, which probably is has the same effect as a flu. A Google account says, I saw that one person. I don't know if it was one or more came up. Gary cans his own salmon. Wow, I bet that's. I had an old friend of mine that was a crabber. He lived to be almost 100, and his brother was 97. And they canned crab meat. They had a little setup with these machines that you cranked out a handle. It looked like a drill press. You'd pasteurize your crab meat and put the lid on, and it would vacuum seal it right there. A neat little canning operation. Well, we know that they were using mosquitoes for experimentation over in Ucrizzle, right? In the LABs in Ucrizzle. And they said that I see what you're saying there, Pappy Two Bears. Equine encephalitis. They said some horses had gotten ill also in the same report. So if it's going to be too difficult for them to rig it, are they going to do something to shut it down? Because there's so many opportunities for them to cause trouble, notably in Ruski land. Putin put out a warning, or well, not even a warning, a statement that he would punish the people responsible for organizing and sponsoring, in effect, the incursion into Kursk. There was an assault on a prison compound called IK-19. They took hostages, and it was a several hours of drama where the hostage takers put out videos that were very hard to watch. I did not watch. But when the sources I go to say this video is hard to watch, I don't watch it. Okay? Because the ones they don't put warnings on are bad enough. So they ended up special forces storming this prison compound to free the guards, and they were successful. It never would have happened if they hadn't gone into Kursk. But after several hours and videos being put out by the perpetrators, they asked for $2 million and a helicopter to escape after they put out videos of them abusing guards. After several hours, a bulletin went up. The assault on IK-19 has begun. And within 10 minutes, another bulletin came out. The assault is over. Oh, I'm not. What am I talking about? It was 30 minutes. The assault lasted a half an hour. Half an hour. The terrorists in IK-19 had been eliminated. All hostages were rescued. But they were badly abused. But I'm not going to get into that. During the assault, 23-year-old Tajik native Rustamakon Nazvaruzi tried to blow himself up using a you-know-what-aside vest. But the system didn't work, and special forces managed to eliminate him. So he wanted to go anyway. He just wanted to take a lot with him, but he ended up just going by himself. And his buddies, I think it was 6 altogether, and all of them are gone. So here is where Putin has made a decision on how to respond to the attack on the Kursk region. Those responsible will be severely punished. Russian ambassador to Washington, Anatoly Antonov, said. And then shortly after that, France put out a bulletin denying any involvement in what's going on in Russia in the Kursk area. But Democratic and current Vice President Kamala Harris has promised to continue support in Ukraine, for Ukraine. As president, I stand firmly with Ukraine and our NATO allies, Harris said. According to the vice president, she warned Kiev about the outbreak of the conflict 5 days before fighting began, and also helped shape the U.S. diplomatic response to Russia's military operation in Ukraine. Oh, okay, so she's taking some credit for it. Well, today, U.S. announces new $125 million aid package for Kiev. This is by the Associated Press. It will include air defense missiles, HIMARS, Javelin anti-tank system, electronic warfare systems, as well as 105 millimeter and 155 millimeter shells and other equipment. While they're talking to us how we need to tax the rich and don't take more than you need. My mother told me, don't take more than you need. Well, let me see. I saw a report that 20 of the 31, I'll have to probably go on memory here, 20 of the 31 Abrams tanks that were sent to Ukraine have been destroyed. Remember last night I said well over 50%? Well, it is 20 of 31. So it's more like 70% of how much does Abrams tank cost? Multiply that times 20. Well, multiply by 31 because they're all going to get destroyed. That's how they're pissing our money away. Whistleblower tells Senator Josh Hawley that Secret Service told agents who were working the Butler rally not to request for additional manpower resources for the rally and warned them any such requests would be denied. So you get these whistleblowers when people get suspended, all right, or if they get called in for disciplinary action, birds start singing. Back to RFK Jr., he called the Democrat Party the party of war, censorship, corruption, big pharma, big tech, and big money. So he's not ending his campaign, he's suspending it, and he's keeping his name on ballots in non-battleground states. So General Mike Flynn tuned in. Oh boy, don't you know Mike Flynn's going to be part of the administration too? It's getting better every week. We start seeing the people that are going to be coming in the picture. General Flynn said we should all stand with this man, Robert Kennedy Jr., and give him enormous respect for waking this country up. Wake up to the problems addressed below and many more. We have so much work to do to fix the problems we have and move our nation forward in a vastly more positive direction. And he references a post by Charlie Kirk, RFK Jr., quote, I feel a moral obligation to use this opportunity to save millions of American children. Harris Walsh is a ticket of missing, mutilated, medicated, and miserable children. Vote accordingly. Vote accordingly. Borinkin says one Abrams is over 10 million. Well, there's 200 million gone, blown up, captured, disabled. Yeah, Putin's white hat, and I'm on his side too. Oh, I don't know about. I think Liberace just died of old age. He may have died of the AI and then DS. So anyway, we've got dozens of warships in the Middle East that the media is not reporting. U.S. Navy assets in the Middle East, the USS Roosevelt, the USS Georgia, the USS Bukele, the amphibious group WASP, amphibious ready group, the USS Arleigh Burke, the USS Cole, the Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group. I'm going to keep going, but I just want to have you all heard of all these names I'm calling out? Is in the Middle East. When did all this happen? The USS Russell, the USS Michael Murphy, the USS Daniel Inouye, the USS McStain, the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group. That's a lot of assets. Did you see where Robert Kennedy Jr.'s family called his endorsement of Trump a betrayal? RFK Jr.'s siblings release a statement denouncing his Trump endorsement. A betrayal. What is up with that bunch? Yeah, if you all get Military Watch or have access to Military Watch magazine, that's where the reports of that last Abrams got taken out. For those of you who are interested in that sort of thing. So have you all noticed it is continuing and ongoing where I have not had any individuals join our conversation with a differing point of view, even if they're trying to be a pest or a troll? which we don't mind them. We ignore them, and I try to talk to them. And sometimes it makes for entertaining content, and also gives us an opportunity to get somebody's eyes to open or to rethink their views on the state of modern civilization. That not one person has come in these comments. Well, we had one person that was a new name. I think I had one person came in with smart aleck comment, and I asked them if they wanted to talk, discuss things, and they disappeared. But for well over a month, probably close to 2 months, we haven't had anybody come in the chats. Not one. That is that's shows you right there. The videos are not getting around except to subscribers. I do get a few people stumble across my video and subscribe. Hi, Holofix. How you doing? So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It'll help that get around. But no, we've gone night after night after night after night with not one troll. And I do caution you, if we do get a troll in, do not engage them and get insulting or whatever, because that's feeding trolls. I want to educate trolls. I want to starve their brain of the poisonous thinking and feed their brain with the truth. Raven's Wing said, noticed it too. Go, really, Gary? Yeah. Military forces are being deployed. The final scene. It sure looks like it. When I won't. I'm gonna keep this map that shows U.S. Navy assets in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean Sea, all over the damn place. In the Persian Gulf, Gulf of Aden, Red Sea, all around the place there. And what's roughly in the middle? Israel. Raven's got some notifications. That's good. That's right, Miss Minnesue. We hope your grandson is all right. We get Mr. T in there, we will have competent leadership. So, let me see. I was watching. What's your all's evaluation of Tim Walsh jerking his son's arm like that, and the look he had on his face when he did it? I know it's brief, and some of you may not have seen it. But how can you make sense of him doing that? If you all did see it, he had to me, a very stern look on his face, an angry look on his face, and he jerked his son's arm pretty aggressively. And it's been on Twitter, and it wasn't a good look, Holofix, not at all. And some people are, saying, well, we'll give him benefit of the doubt. He was pulling his kid away from banging into the teleprompter because he's apparently special needs, high functioning special needs. Yeah, it looked ugly. Angela didn't get to see it. But, well, you get a chance. Go on Twitter or some. Maybe I get a screenshot of it. You can burn a lot of time trying to get a couple of second long clips, especially when they're all over the place. CNN cut away from RFK Jr.'s speech as he was explaining how the DNC rigged the primary, replaced their candidate with one who didn't receive a single vote, and how the media covered up for it and censored him. And Trump made a point of saying that he felt that if RFK would have been able to run in the primaries against Biden, that RFK would have beat Biden. Now, people find that much easier to swallow now after that debate performance by Biden. Nobody wants to, very few people are saying, oh, I'd like to vote. I wish Biden would stay in. And after his horrible, angry, shouting so-called speech for an hour, hopped up on meth or whatever, and then you got Kamala. A lot of Dems are saying, how come we didn't get a chance to look at RFK? Now you got RFK putting it right out there, how corrupt and unfair the DNC is. And on top of that, you got Jill Stein. Jill Stein, who's not pulling any punches, but they're not being covered, but we'll cover them. Germany is planning to pay Afghan criminals to return to their home country as it takes a tougher stance on migration. Well, I'll tell you what, any Afghanis that are criminals that made it in Germany, I don't think you could give them a truckload of money, they won't go back to Afghanistan because the Taliban run Afghanistan. And in Germany, you get 6 months if you do something wrong, in prison maybe. In Afghanistan, they cut your hand off or your head. So I doubt that many of them are going to be taking the money to go back to their country. But people are falling out of love with this immigration crap. And I want to point out something else, that 6 eruptions of another volcano. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about Mount Etna, and I said that these types of volcanic eruptions put out enough carbon-based or climate change gases in the air equal to 200,000 years of every vehicle running on the planet. In Iceland, Icelandic volcano erupts for the 6th time since December. And it's a big lava flow, smoke pouring into the sky. So I don't want to call them idiots, but when these people who support the Democrats, if they listen to this broadcast, 200 in Abrams tanks gone, 120 million, 125 million aid package going to Ukraine, gone. How many trillions we've talked about in money just frittered away. And they're pushing for socialist and communist control of your money, take your money, saying you're too greedy, or rich people are too greedy, or business owners are too greedy. Then they say we have to do this to save the climate. And in a week's time, you're looking at 7 volcanic eruptions, each one a couple 100,000 years of carbon. When is it going to dawn on these people? And I'm going to do like Trump said: do not call Chris Christie a fat pig. I will not call these people idiots. When is it going to dawn on them that it's all a damn game for power and control? Money equals power. They're going to put us in a situation where we have no control over our own destiny because we're busy trying to find something to eat that won't lay out in the grass for 2 weeks. I don't know when it's going to get through to these people, and I will not call these people idiots. Here it is: breaking, at least 5 U.S. Secret Service officials involved in the planning of Donald Trump's rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where gunmen attempted to kill the former president, have been placed on administrative leave, according to sources familiar with the situation. Well, I want to know what, if anything, is going to happen, and what does it mean? What does it mean when you have people assigned to protect the president saying, make yourself small? I don't know what's going on, and don't do a damn thing to alert or help the man standing on stage like a sitting duck. Do you think I'm making too much of it? Make yourself small. Something going on. Melinda would call them idiots. Okay, but I'm not. I tend to agree, Gary. He's had a overall control, but people will not change unless they see. You can't tell them how horrible these people are. Unfortunately, you have to show them. And bad things have to happen to avoid even worse things. Like I talked about Winston Churchill. He knew that there was a bombing run going to happen in London because they cracked the Enigma code. The Germans had a code called Enigma. Britain cracked the code and were able to read all of the transmissions till the end of the war. The Germans did not know that we could read their communications. So there was a bombing run planned over London. And Churchill said it was one of the most difficult nights of his life. He knew it was going to happen, but he couldn't tell anybody. He couldn't tell a soul. Because then the Germans would have known they cracked the Enigma code and they would have changed their communications. And without warning, out of the blue, the blitzkrieg of London began, and thousands of people were killed. So that bad thing had to happen. Otherwise, the war would have been drawn out or even lost if the Enigma code had been found out to have been compromised. So here we're going through these things, horrible stories like Lake and Riley, horrible events like the Summer of Love and businesses being burned down. People are going to get knocks on the door over these 85,000 IRS agents. People are already getting knocks on the door by out of control ATF. People have lost their lives by an out of control ATF. Trump almost lost his life. And he said, I believe that's why I got shot. Because of the words they're using in their mouth coming out of these people. The vitriol. And it's going to get worse. That's the only thing I'm concerned about. I'm looking at some of the comments that the election, especially thinking in the direction of the election, I'll put it that way, that it's going to be too big to rig, and it's going to be nearly impossible for them to cheat without a lot of people saying, what the hell's going on here? That doesn't mean they're going to lay down and let us in. And things are going to get ugly. Because a lot of them know if they lose, their lives are going to change. Not for the better. Long prison sentences. At the very least, people losing their prestige, their power, paying fines. And they don't care who they hurt to protect themselves. So be there or be square on November 5th. Make sure your vote gets in. Do everything possible to get your vote in. But just remember, that's going to be the first battle. They could swap out Joe for Kamala before the election or after the election, before the January 20th. There's all kinds of crap that can happen. I'm just scrolling through. Yeah, well, so stock up, folks. Well, I will probably broadcast maybe Sunday night, but if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And I hope you all remember to give me a thumbs up, and if you didn't like the broadcast, give me a thumbs down. But there's a lot of people losing sleep tonight over this RFK business. And yeah, I think that RFK is going to be in danger. I saw that in the comments. Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, Roland, they will try. They probably already have. Well, it's only 69 days, 70 days before the election. Pappy Two Bears, a rate cut isn't going to make people feel better. They played out all their cards for keeping gas prices low. And I've been saying it, that something's going to happen, and it's going to be gas lines again. So, yeah, he's protected. I think Trump probably sent part of his team over there, and there's probably At this level, now that the game's being played, I believe there's military intelligence. I think military intelligence has already taken over the FBI, the C.I.A. And after what happened with Trump, I think they've stepped in with the Secret Service. It ain't going to happen again. Like I said, that night, Trump got a visit from top brass. He didn't have to call them. He didn't have to go to them. They grabbed they put on their dress uniforms and knocked the dust off their hats and polished their brim and took off to see Trump. So I think most of the three-letter agencies have been compromised to the point where it would, by law, allow for takeover of military intelligence. And now that the Secret Service has shown that it is incompetent and or compromised, that somebody else is in charge of the Secret Service right now. Because we got one shot. This is the one shot, folks. The one shot to do this as peaceably as possible with the least amount of human suffering as possible. It's not our last shot, but the last chance we have to do it in as civil a manner as possible. But if that doesn't work, things get really, really nasty, stuff that we don't want to think about. And I think that mindset is in multiple countries, multiple military leadership are in the same mindset of just what I'm saying. Who was it that said today, criminal organizations? I think it might have been RFK was talking RICO terminology with how his campaign was treated. And as I said, a special military operation is being conducted worldwide with certain select nations, and it's going to be based around RICO statutes and methods that were drawn up by Rudy Giuliani as one of the people who wrote it up. All it does is codify how you deal with sophisticated gangs, criminal organizations, how you identify them, dissect them, and prosecute them. That's all this is boiled down to. All right, folks. I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. I will be broadcasting, like I said, maybe Sunday or Monday night, if not Sunday. So hopefully you hit the notification bell so you'll know when I go live. And we'll get these numbers up by hitting the thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. And I will be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.